What's up, Amazon sellers? If you're thinking about doing retail arbitrage, then oh my God, I have someone or some people that you really want to be following. Why? Last year, they did $3 million in sales and pretty much all by themselves. If you are interested, I have Steve and Alexa, and I'm going to be asking them everything, and we're going to be breaking down their operations in this interview today. Stay tuned. Today, I'm super excited. Why? Because I'm interviewing Steve and Alexa. Why? Because these guys are doing 3 million in sales last year, which is, by the way, an absolutely humongous number. But number two is the fact that the majority of this is retail arbitrage, and pretty much they are doing it single-handedly, which literally has just blown my mind. Now, I don't want to say any more, so I just want to say a really big thank you to Alexa and Steve for taking time out and to joining me. But if anyone doesn't know who you are, can you introduce yourself and obviously just let us know a little bit about yourself and your story so far?
Yeah, so we're Alexa and Steve, obviously. We've been Amazon sellers for a little over 3 years now. We started right kind of like before COVID hit, 2020. And we do a lot of retail arbitrage. We do online arbitrage, a little teeny tiny smidge of wholesale as well. We work from our home still, and we do this like largely just the two of us. We have a little bit of prep help. We do use a prep center for some of our stuff, but yeah, what else?
That's it. I think you got it.
Absolutely amazing. And just break it down for me. So last year, and obviously I can see on your Instagram, you did 3 million in sales last year. It's like November to November, I think it was. So absolutely incredible. But just like percentage wise, you say you do RA, OA, and a smidgen of wholesale. How much are we talking? Can you give us like the percentage ratios?
Yeah, I'd say the RA is somewhere in the 65 to 70% range. Wholesale, maybe 1%, maybe 2%, and then the rest would be OA. So you're in the 30 to 33% range on the OA side there.
Getting the calculator out there, working out, like, oh my God, obviously the wholesale is like a tiny amount. And the one thing I'll say, and the reason why I asked that question is because doing 7 figures is hard work. Doing multiple 7 figures is really hard work, and it can be quite easily done. I say easily, loosely with wholesale. But retail is really, really challenging to do it to that level because you physically got to go out to the store. So just talk me through, like, how did you get started? You said it was COVID. You started doing that. Like, what was the backstory? What were you doing before, and how did you get into this model, and how did you find out?
Yeah, so before that, we both had just regular jobs. He was managing a parking facility at an airport, which was a family business for my family, and also he was a basketball coach. I was a preschool speech and language pathologist, and I was working in the schools. And we had just had our second baby, and I was like desperate at all costs to not go back to that job. It's not that I didn't want to work, I just wanted flexibility. I wanted a little more control over what we were doing. So I was like creeping on YouTube and Facebook groups and whatever I could find for side hustles, and Amazon FBA came up. It was one of those things where it seemed simple enough to start that I could kind of like try it without even telling him. I could like get the account, and I didn't have to invest thousands of dollars, right? Like I could just go scan around the house, scan a store, and see what happened. And so did that a little bit, told him pretty soon. I really didn't keep it a secret for very long, and he was all in. So he's like, okay, like let's go scan some stuff. 3 weeks, I think, after we sent our first shipment, the COVID shutdowns happened. So my job became totally work from home. His job, travel industry, completely disappeared. So we were kind of left with this perfect storm of both of us having a lot of time and a lot of like flex. I mean, he could just go. And Amazon was blowing up because everybody is buying, a ton of stuff online. But we were still like, I was still getting my paycheck. So we didn't have to like take money from the business. So it was just this perfect storm for us to really dive right in and try to see how things were. So we did really well. We scaled very quickly in the beginning. We did our first 100,000 in 97 or 98 days, our first 100,000 of revenue. And that was really good because that's COVID time. So the profit margin was great. And then we continued to build. We hit our first million like a couple days after our 1-year anniversary. And then the rest is kind of history. I quit my job I quit my job in the summer. I didn't go back. And then you quit your job the following year.
Yeah, March.
Yeah, it just became pretty obvious that we were not gonna go back to what we were doing.
Wow, I absolutely love it. And like, I think one of the reasons why I really love doing these interviews is the fact that you get to learn about people's journeys and obviously what happened. And I'd like to talk later on very much about the operations it is now and the detail behind that. But like, can we go back to what did it look like when you first started? I appreciate you had a lot of time. You were still getting paychecks. So obviously money, because we know this is a capital intensive business, but like talk me through that journey when you first started out. What were the hurdles that you came across, in the retail arbitrage game? Like what were the challenges? What did you learn? What were the mistakes you made? Tell me about that.
Okay, so some of the hurdles I would say was, I don't know if you remember this, but for a little while, Amazon wasn't letting you send anything FBA that wasn't like a necessity. So I don't think we were ungated in grocery because we were still new and ungating was hard, at that time still. Yeah. So that really like limited us as to what we could send FBA, which is what we prefer. So that was hard for a little while, but we did get ungated and that helped a little bit. And then also just we were home, but our kids were home too. We had two. One was a 4-month-old and the other one was just getting ready to turn 3. So they were little. So one of us was able to go a lot, but the other one still had to stay home. So those were the challenges. We did definitely have the benefit of we had a little bit of startup money to begin with. I want to say it was maybe like $3 or $4 grand that we put in before we started taking money out, or before we started getting money back, like our payouts. But we didn't have to take anything out to live. We had enough savings. We had enough with my paycheck that we were okay. We had proof of concept very early. So everything got reinvested for months. I don't remember how much OA we did, but there were some big sales. Burlington Coat Factory, which is a big store, when they reopened, they did 50% off everything in the entire store. That was something we very much chased. They opened in where we live, Ohio. They opened one week and then a different week they opened next door in PA, and then a different week they opened in Michigan. And so we were able to like travel around and hit a lot of stores. And yeah, I think we were in our basement at the time. Doing it out of our basement, so not a ton of space, had to carry everything up and down a couple flights of stairs, took just bags everywhere, which never did get better when we were still at that house.
Question for you, how long was it before you started how long was it before you quit? I assume you're not working now, but how long was it before you quit your job and started drawing a salary out of the business?
Yeah, so my final paycheck as a teacher, my final paychecks came in August. We went one more month. And then I started taking a paycheck myself only in October.
And so how long was that from starting the business to starting, should we say, withdrawing capital from the business to repay?
That would have been March to April, so 7 months. Or March to October, I'm sorry. That would have been March to October, so 7 months.
And I'm guessing you're, back then and even probably now, you're 100% FBA, or were you doing FBM?
We had to do.
We did a little bit of FBM when they shut down the FBA stuff because stuff was selling so well and the profit was still there, and we did have time. So, I was doing that out of the garage actually. But now it's, no FBM at all, 100% FBA.
Let's say 3 million on FBM. Oh my God. Well, massive respect for you. And the reason why I asked that is because if anyone's kind of watching, FBA has a time to get from your house to Amazon, then Amazon has to manage it, and then eventually it gets sold. Whereas FBM, you can ship it straight from your house to the customer, cut out that time, and then after that, we all have like the 2-week wait, which is like the most annoying thing ever. But like what we're talking about is number one, the retention of capital within the company, so you're not drawing it as a salary, which allows you to scale quicker. And then number two is the fact that your ability to turn that money as quickly as possible. I'm guessing obviously when you first started selling back in the COVID days, were things just flying off the shelves, as in like your shelf on Amazon was like sales started to just the turn of inventory, or did you find problems with like aged inventory?
I think it was hard because we had no point of reference, because like she said, we sent on our first shipment, we were working to get another one going, and then COVID started. So it wasn't like, we were selling for years, then COVID happened, and so like we had no frame of reference with how fast anything should sell, right? And that's what a lot of our people close to us, I think they trusted us, but also, all right, well, as soon as COVID's over, like this isn't going to work. You have to go back to your job. Like this is temporary, right? And we were like, no, I think this will be okay. Like we'll keep going. And clearly, as we all know, right, it's very much a thing. So yeah, I think the great thing was just, she talked about that 7 months, the goal was just to snowball the profits back into the business. And even once, we took a very minimal salary, we said, okay, if we can just really push this for as long as we can and continue to grow that, snowball of profits, it could really, really pay off for us. And now it's, I don't want to say capital is not an issue, but it's not one of our big issues for sure. We can source pretty freely.
I do too. So when we started taking pay, me, and then when he added on, we took less than we were making in those original jobs. We increased it just literally a couple months ago. It went up because we bought a new home to give us some more space. So then it had to go up because our expenses changed. But for almost 3 entire years, the salary we've taken from Amazon has been less than we made in those jobs.
Question for you. I know the answer, but why did you do that? Come on, you're doing millions. Why? Why would you pay yourself less? Come on, you should be getting a Lamborghini. Why are you paying yourself less?
No, because we have goals and we don't. This has been so good to us so far that we want to take full advantage of it while it's here and while we can. And so we want to, allow the money to continue to grow as best as it can. Because who knows what this will look like next year, 10 years, we don't know. So we just want to, grow as much as we can and really set ourselves up to have what we want in the future.
No, I absolutely love that. And coming back, Alexa, you talked about it. Proof of concept, you said. Like, I know what you mean, but what does that mean for people who are like why is that important?
Well, I think it helps you to, the beginning of starting something is going to be hard for anybody, right? You don't know if it's going to be successful. You don't know how much work it's going to take. Proof of concept is when you see it work, when you see your work pay off a little bit. And so since we got that very quickly, there really wasn't a reason for us to burn out. It's working. We're making money. We're doing well. We can see it. Of course, we're going to keep grinding at this to try to do more. I do definitely think, in a sense, that is a little lucky. And we worked very hard for that. It's not entirely luck. But people who get a taste of that are going to be more likely to persevere and keep going. And for some people, it comes faster than others.
Agreed. I think, once you realize you can put $100 in and get 120 out, you're like, ooh. How much more can I put in? And then when you're like, well, I could take $200 myself, be like, but that means I'm not going to get the 240 back. I'll take 100 and put the other one back in. Yeah, I understand. So, question for you: if people are looking to get started doing retail arbitrage, and I appreciate that's the majority of your business right now, what kind of advice would you give them? They're getting out. So, tell me about that. How would you recommend they get started?
2 things. I think one, start with something for us, we do a lot of toys because I have a background in selling toys. She likes to do a lot of beauty products. So those are our 2 main categories, toys and beauty, just because we know the space the best. We have little kids, they watch shows, they like toys, right? So we're in that world. Stick with what you know. And I also think it's very important to, if you're going to do retail arbitrage, look around, I'll give an example. I know a lot of people like to do like grocery items from, it's a grocery store in the States here called Trader Joe's. There's no Trader Joe's around us at all. So while, a lot of people have talked about getting their start with Trader Joe's seasonal grocery, that's not an option for us. So look around and see what is in close proximity to your house. For us, we have $1 million generals. They're on every corner, everywhere you turn. So while it might not be the most glamorous store, they sell products. Those products are sold on Amazon, a lot of them, and there's money to be made everywhere. You just have to use your resources that are around you.
No, I love that. Thank you. And again, I think, it's understand the model, prove proof of concept, you said. Once you've done that, you've now developed the cash machine to $1 in, $2 out. Keep repeating it. And then, as part of that is looking for your USP, looking for what's going on. And I'm guessing for you, finding what's working. You talked about I think it's the Coke store or something where Burlington, and it was it's just keep daisy chaining the sales. And you're going to have to grind, but my God, you're grinding towards making more money. The cash machine, that's the goal. And obviously you said you were I think your old place was you had to go up some stairs, and now you've only just moved. Is that right?
So our old house, when we first started, we were in the basement, so we had to go downstairs. We did eventually move to our 2-car garage, and we worked out of that, which was constant. I mean, and I have pictures of this on my Instagram. Like our house, the dining room became storage, the living room became storage, the hallways were storage. Like it was not a way to live. But just at the end of last year, we found a new house where we have our own garage that's attached, but we also have a 4-car detached garage that is all set up. It's heated, it's cooled, it's instant. Like it was ready for us to, it was a perfect situation. So took a little while, but we are in a much better situation now.
No, I love it. Well done. Well done. Honestly, really, really well done. Tell me about the operation. What does that look like? There's a sale on, we need to go hit that sale massively, and then there's other weeks it's not so busy. Can I ask, like hours wise, typical, like on a busy week, how many hours would you work? I'm sure I'd be like quite a lot. And then on the non-busy weeks, what would that look like? Can you explain that? Can I ask you a question? What's the most amount of money you've ever spent in one day?